Well, the morbid atheist got all indignant and left, and I'm familiar with this kind of reaction to these sorts of issues. I mean, I'll say, oh, life as a whole isn't all bad, and they'll point at like these terrible situations that someone's in and go, "Are you saying that's not bad?" And it's like, I didn't say that wasn't bad. I said the whole thing. I mean, it's as if I'm not here pointing at, "Look, this guy won the lotto, so life's good." It doesn't work like that. It is the whole mix. And the real issue to me is that we can improve life, and that makes life worth living right there. That makes life good. Is the fact that it can be improved. That's good, basically. But yeah, I'm used to this. It's the same thing, a very similar thing, at least with uh, overpopulation. I say, oh, I don't really believe there's overpopulation. People are like, well, it's well known, of course, and as if I'm the uncompassionate one. But let's look at the starving people in Africa, and you and I look at the starving people in Africa, and you're going to say the problem is too many people, and I'm going to say no, the problem is not enough food, not enough infrastructure, and I'm the one that's lacking compassion. You act like I'm denying that there's too many people there, when what I'm saying is, yeah, it's because there's too little food, and you look at that misery and like I'm denying that the misery is happening. And no, the misery is happening, but I say we build the basic infrastructure. It's not magic, it's not rocket science, it's the basics. Hundreds of years old infrastructure would be good enough to improve the situation. We can do better than that, so let's do that. And people think, oh, he doesn't have compassion, he doesn't care that they're crowded. No, I care, and I think it can be improved. How are you going to improve it if you say, well, no, there's just too many people? I mean, that implies that we need to get rid of people. Don't you think that's maybe a little bit elitist of you, or sort of, I don't know, condescending, or are you volunteering which ones should go? I mean, we're not going to do that. If people saying, oh, the planet can only support 1 billion people. Well, we have this many billion right now, right? And we're just barely making it because of all this poverty. But if we just increase the efficiency and lower the amount of exploitation, obviously the people here would do better, right? That would go to them. Now, why do I choose 10 billion? Well, because that's the logic. These are the people here, and the point is we need to live as well as possible. And I can't see us changing the way our population is growing before 10 billion. But there is a matter of style of living. People populated so much that there really wasn't enough farmland and these kinds of things per capita, and we might have to eat all our food off of some bioengineered algae process. That might be a lifestyle we don't want. Maybe we like, a little bit more flavor or options, more of a natural environment. Fine, 10 billion. I mean, if we grew to 10 billion people and leveled off because we had a sustainable attitude, that's a world pretty much like today, with urban, agricultural, more rural environments. And if the cities were clean and the resources were being used by all of those 10 billion people in a minimal in a minimal level that was acceptable, that people had room for some luxuries and enjoy their life. That's not that different from today. I think we're going to be lucky if we can do it at that point. It's just as likely that we'll go to 20 or 30 billion and have some real crises before we realize that we need to change our attitude. At which point, yeah, maybe it starts to get almost inhuman what you have to do. Like I mentioned, people moving underground. I don't plan to do that. I'm not willing to live underground. Maybe in a little hobbit house, built into a hill. But that's another matter. I'm not willing to do that. But it's not coming right now either. In the future, people are going to have to adapt. How much are they going to have to adapt? If people adapted to that, but there was jungle on the surface and stuff, I wouldn't say that was a disgusting adaptation that they'd made, whether I could make it or not. But it'd be nice if we didn't have to go there. 10 billion people, I think we could continue our surface living lifestyle and integrate a little bit, bring the forest and the jungle into our cities a little more, be more careful about how we set up our commodities in terms of the food and things that we get. Maybe take a few approaches to infrastructure that are slightly more expensive but more long term, you know, for the 1,000-year type time scale. And you know, I don't think that's particularly likely. But when it comes down to this, I just, you know, what am I supposed to think of this constant accusation that my side of this argument gets of being uncaring, and you're the one saying people got to go. I mean, so anyway, and I know you're wanting to be compassionate, but me too. So you grant me the same thing, you know, but you don't. You just immediately go, he's not seeing the misery because he doesn't, you know, accept my explanation. It's like that, you know, because I don't think that we can't fix so-called civilization. He wants to sometimes think that I'm ignoring the misery and the screwed up parts of it. And it's not like that. I don't throw everything out together. I analyze and break things down into parts, and then the parts are judged. You know, if it's civilization, you know, life or anything like that. And when I judge life and the quality of life as a general philosophical issue, I do not see nature having the quality of life issues. Even the brutal state of nature where you're subject to predation and stuff, to me, that is not the immoral, abysmal blight that should not be seen in this universe, but is. The blight is the way humans treat humans. The slavery of other humans, and predation and parasitism of humans on humans. Slavery and blind following and leadership. And mastery and slavery those are the blights. And those are our doing. So it seems very reasonable for me to think that we can redo them. And human nature is what it is right now and has brought us to here right now, but it's changing. Our nature is to learn from our experiences. And we could debate that as many centuries as you like, but I believe that that is our enduring nature, because it's not just human nature, but our nature as mammals. To be able to learn and adapt to some degree, and in our case, to a great degree. And we will adapt. And we can make one of those adaptations, creating a system that is more healthy, and that in which the interactions between men and women, other women, men, and between us all, can be collaborations and cooperations rather than exploitations. And I think that's the compassionate approach. That's the realistic approach that identifies the problem and doesn't point a finger at starving people and go, there's too many of you. Can't you see the problem is there's only enough food for one of you? There's obviously too many of you. No, the problem is there's not enough food for all 10 of them. And the reason that's a problem is because it's doable. Don't tell me it's not doable. Yeah, it is. You couldn't... Yeah, it is possible to feed the world. Yep. Right now and in the foreseeable future.